becoming hard to remember a time before digital news. The days when people used to wake up early to find their print paper on their doorstep. Now we take for granted the instantaneous availability of news on our computers, iPads, and smartphones. Now we find out our breaking news immediately. When the explosions occurred during the Boston Marathon this week, we had a story up on our website within minutes. But it wasn't always like this. Some of the reporters at the Oakland Press newsroom have recounted how journalism has changed since they first started working here. So how do you think journalism has changed?
Well, that's a pretty wide open question. In general, I wrote my first story almost 37 years ago, and selectric typewriters were as close to technology as you got. Today we have far more tools and far less time to use them, and far less people actually to chase the stories and put the time into them that we used to be able to.
And so how would you say staff has changed since you first started?
Well, actually just since I've been here, we have far fewer paid reporters than we used to.
How many did there used to be when you first started?
I think we had, at our peak, 21 full-time reporters on the news side, not counting interns that came in and augmented our staff.
And now how many full-time are there?
Well, you know the answer to that as well as I do. I'd say probably, about 7?
Well, when I first started working here, we were using black and white film and black and white dark rooms and doing all that sort of thing. And now it's so much easier and faster with digital. The photography's not any different, but the way of getting it delivered is a lot faster and more efficient.
And how has staffing changed?
Our staff has gotten increasingly smaller over the years. So it's, again, with digital, it helps a little bit, but we just don't cover as many assignments as we used to.
And how many photographers were here when you first started?
When I first started, there was four photographers, including the chief photographer.
And then now there's?
2, Vaughn Gerganian and myself. At one time there was 9 of us in the photo department.
Oh, wow. And when did you start working here?
1976.
When I started, we had many more reporters, and we used to cover every single meeting, every school board meeting, municipality meeting, and wrote about all those issues. And now our staff is smaller, we're more efficient, and we depend a lot more on our public relations people and on the readers to provide us with information and with photos. Often school districts will send us photos to go with their press releases about different events at the school districts.
So Julie, how do you think journalism has changed since you first started here?
The biggest change that I've noticed is that now we are more interested in readers and engaging the reader in the story. So we reach out to readers a lot more than we ever did when I first started in journalism.
And would you say that's a good thing?
That's a great thing, because that way you're writing about things that people really care about. When I first started, we used typewriters. We had just gotten computers, which were actually huge, and they were called eCrums. And they crashed about once an hour, and it was just a whole other thing. Now we're using laptops and going everywhere, and we can file stories from anywhere, and have so many platforms to reach people on Facebook and on Twitter and on email, everything else. So it's a whole nother ballgame.